What's up, everyone? We've got another epic episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, and today, oh my days, can you believe the guests we've got? Guys, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, team. It's us. We're Crush Cards. In case you didn't know that, I'm Logan,
I'm Brian.
and we're here with all of our alpacas.
All of them. Oh,
Shout out Tops. Shout out Tops.
this is.
Yeah, shout out to Tops and the boys.
Do you know what's hilarious? It's like, so we were just talking about before how it's like we had seen each other at events. I'd seen them at events and such, and it's like when you see big YouTubers at events. I don't know about you guys. For me, it's quite surreal. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know about you guys. You guys are the big YouTubers, but for me, it's quite surreal. So it's like. When I saw you guys at the events, in my head, and when I've seen you guys in the past, like, oh man, this is Crush Cards. It'll be cool if I could chat to them one day. So to actually have you guys on the show, that's levels, man. I can't lie. I'm very, very excited to have you guys today.
Oh,
We're excited to be
well,
here, man. It's
thank
really
you.
cool.
You
Yeah.
deeply
We love these
flatter
types of
us,
things.
but thank you so much. I
No
appreciate
worries,
it.
no worries. So I guess to start off with, why don't you give us a bit of an introduction into yourselves, into the channel, what kind of got you started doing the Crush Cards
Oh
channel?
goodness. I mean, the start of the channel was kind of like a happy accident. I'm gonna be honest. We started the channel. It was actually Brian's idea to start the channel back in 2019. It was like later 2019, like August, September-ish, and he was like, "Well, we started playing the game very rough, like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
casual, nothing serious." We were playing like literal structure decks and like Dark Magician, but bad, and it was all awful. And he was like, "Well, why don't we start like a YouTube channel just as like kind of like a resource for us, like showing our decks and everything, because like obviously we have a local scene, but we know that there are more resources beyond that, and we didn't know enough people that knew all the decks that we wanted to play, which were like random, just like anime decks. So we were like, our locals is competitive. They didn't want to deal with all that, and we were in a very small bubble. So we're like, well, let's expand that. And he was like, let's upload stuff to the YouTube. It doesn't have to be serious or anything. And I was like, well, no, that's awful, because anytime you start a YouTube channel, it's like you either have to full commit or like you don't, and then like if you don't, it's just doomed. And so I was like, I don't want to just like, for lack of a better words, like half-ass it. And so I was like, well, let's like sure, like see where it goes, and whatever happens. And we started uploading like little stuff, like little goofy openings, like little deck profiles that were very unserious, and like just looking for feedback.
It is so fun to like go back and watch like the
they're
first
so bad.
like 7
they
videos
are
on the
horrific.
channel.
They are
Wow.
actually they're awful. It's like I'd never been in front of a camera in my life,
Yeah,
and I'm
it's
like,
crazy.
what's wrong with me? But yeah, so we just started doing it very nonchalantly, and just to see if we could get feedback from other people outside of the sphere we were in, and that was cool and everything, and it was fine. And it was nothing. We had like literally like 60 subscribers for the longest time, and we were so excited. And you know, it's like humble beginnings. You know, you work really hard, you make some thumbnails, you hope for the best. And it was very much learning by just progress. We didn't have any setup. We had an iPhone, a symbol stand, and a dream, and there was nothing.
We still use that symbol
We
stand.
still
by the
use
way.
the symbol stand.
Still
It
to
is
this day,
still right here.
3 years later,
It
we
is
still
still
use
doing its job. But yeah, we didn't have like any special setup. We didn't have anything fancy. It was just us in our living room, like with like the worst acoustics on the planet. Like it was horrible, and like we just were so uncomfortable on camera. But it was a lot of fun, and so we didn't think anything would come of it. It was just kind of a thing.
The goal was just like as Logan said, right? Like we just got back into Yu-Gi-Oh. I guess like the 10-second version of it is we collect everything. Right before this, we commented on the Disney Lego set behind, like a huge Lego fan. We a huge Pop Funko fan, so we collect all like the Pop Funko stuff, like all the things that we like. Star Wars, Game of Thrones, like all the anime stuff.
Everything.
And then the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff came out, so we got into it, and that was like our little date stuff. We'd go like Targets, Walmarts, whatever, try to find the ones that we want, and we would get them. And then like one night it was like late at night, and we were like, man, we don't really have anything to do. We turned on Netflix, like Yu-Gi-Oh popped up. We're like, oh, we should like, we're fun for like nostalgia. Let's watch this. Next thing you know, we're like halfway through season 1, and we're like the next day we find ourselves like up in the attic cleaning
like
out
literally
like old
looking
stuff,
for cards.
and we like found cards, and we're like, oh, this is like a sign, right? Like first it was like
So
the
bad.
pops, and then it was like
We found the cards. They were
show.
they were in like rubber bands, like unsleeved, like horrific, like Nightmare Fuel, and like they were just bulk. It was just bulk.
It was literally like Playground Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like
it was
all
so
your
bad.
cards were rubber band. They're in like a sandwich, like little plastic baggie, beat up. We started playing. We went to like Walmart and stuff, got more cards, and then like once, like I'd say like a month or so in, we decided we wanted to like play with
Learn.
other people that weren't just ourselves. So we went to our local. We found our local. We went and we got obliterated. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Sky Striker,
Yeah.
Thunder
It
Dragon
was eternal
format.
format.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
eternal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We started with our Dark Magician deck. And
Yeah,
like,
Logan was playing Dark Magician. I was playing Blue Eyes,
It
and
was
I was
so
like,
bad.
my dude's 3K, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'll take it. I'll kill
Yeah.
you with your. I was
Widow
like,
Anchor is a heck of a card.
oh,
Um,
crazy! This is wild.
But yeah, so we were really bad and it was horrible. But yeah, so we started the channel for that like reason with no intention beyond that. And then we started getting more into the game after we started getting our butts whooped, and we were like, okay, we should probably learn competent decks. So he started playing Layer of Darkness. I picked up the Wave of Light structure deck. I think playing Counter
Oh, the
Fairies.
Counter
Like,
Fairies, yeah.
oh my god,
Yeah.
it was truly something. And so we were trying to learn. We were trying. Like trying to understand Link summoning took me forever. The thought, like Link Kariba was my first summon of a Link monster, and I was like, I don't understand how I'm just taking it off the field and putting this new guy here, and it's just
Yeah.
fine. I'm like, but what the heck? Blue Eyes still requires multiple tributes. I'm like, this is whack. It just baffled me. But then, we started playing, started getting better, started investing more into wanting to understand the modern game. And then we went to a Toronto regional in November of that same year, a couple months later. Somehow I managed to get my invite and squeak on in there, and that was apparently a big
It was
deal.
like 4 months of playing Yu-Gi-Oh?
Literally, I literally I remember like a month before I was like, oh, this paleo frog deck looks fun. I like frogs and these are cool. Like this is a fun little deck, and it was just enough for me to handle because it was a trap deck. It was mostly like a control, very just kind of like Toad control at that point. But I was playing IP had just come out, Avermax had just come out. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Avermax is like a towers. And so I don't know how that happened. It was truly the wildest regional ever. It was crazy, but I don't know how I managed an Eternal format, no less. It was the amount of Orcust and Thunder I played against all day was wild. But yeah, so I got my invite. It was a big deal, and Team Samurai comes running up to me with all the energy in the universe and being like, "Do you want to do a deck profile?" And I was like, not really. I'm like, it's 10 p.m. I'm exhausted and I'm kind of overstimulated at this point. But he's like, come on, it'll be so great. And Brian's like, and I'm like, okay, all right. And then, well, there it is. And it happened. And I was a nervous wreck the entire time, like absolute stress level, because I knew who he was. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, this is going to go on the internet. People are going to see this. I'm like, oh. And then at the end where he's like, any shout outs? I'm like, oh, you can go follow our channel, our dinky little 68 subscriber channel. Bless his heart for plugging it at the end. But we did that. He put the video up, and literally within 48 hours, we woke up to over 3,000 subscribers. And I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, what have we done? We had nothing on the channel. We had some bogus little videos. It was so scuffed. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, okay, I'm like, we gotta establish something here. I'm like, do we want to actually full commit to this and just ride it and be like, you know what, we've been given this opportunity where destiny has kind of fallen in our favor, and I can put up a deck profile and we can go from there and start making regular content and then see if we can advance, or we can just keep doing what we're doing and not care at all about what has just happened. And we were just like, you know what? Screw it, why not? Let's just ride the wave and see what happens. And so we started just uploading a lot more, caring a lot more, just trying to push out a lot, even though it was extremely low budget and everything. But we were like, you know what, eventually people will latch on if we're entertaining enough, and if that's the case, we can always fix technology and stuff later and advance that. And that was it, honestly. And we just never stopped, and we just full committed. And then, COVID happened, and
Here
then
we are.
Yeah, and then things just maintained surprisingly, and yeah, here we are.
So on the subject of COVID, because I remember I knew about your guys' channel through Team Sam, I imagine the majority of people who
Yes, many
subscribe to
people.
you. Yeah. But then during the COVID times, obviously I think a lot of channels really sort of saw a bit of a boom because people were getting back into hobbies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so some creators we've spoken to about COVID, they found it a lot harder to update their channels over COVID. But did you guys see it as almost a net positive in terms of the channel growth at least, and maybe even your progression as players?
Yeah.
I think that there's when I think of Yu-Gi-Oh content creating, I think of 3 different eras, right? I think the first one, these are my loose terms, so don't
Non-official terms.
Yeah, take these with a grain of salt. The first one is the golden era of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's when Sam, Themo, Slim, like all these like Robbie, like what you would consider like the godfathers of Yu-Gi-Oh. They like kind of laid the foreground for channels like us. And they like, they kind of like hit the ground running. They did like your generic, like deck profiles, meta breakdown, top 5 budget deck stuff, like all those, like that's what we used to watch when we were getting into the game. And then COVID hit, and I think we hit the second era, which is like, the baby boomer era, I guess you'll call it, where you see smaller channels, like us and, like DB Grinder, Yassine, Pack, like like all these channels were able to be injected into the game. And because of what, like all the heavy hitters were able to establish previously, we were able to come in on that ground and build upon it. And I think that was something that was really cool. Super grateful for like everyone in the community, by the way. Like I think that what we like so much about this is that it is really a community based game. And I think that having the groundwork laid by everyone else and just the support from everyone else too allows everyone to grow. And then I think that like once COVID ended, we hit the dark days, aka the Master Duel era. And that is where like a lot of content creators shifted from making like TCG, making like TCG content or doing like vlogs or deck profiles or things
like
that
IRL
are
content.
just like real like paper Yu-Gi-Oh content, and everything is just like a Master Duel thing, which is fine. It's great. I just think for us, I call it the Dark Ages because we don't have the time to sit around and play Master Duel. It's also a little bit more difficult for us because there's 2 of us. So like if I'm sitting and playing, Logan's just like twiddling her thumbs, or if Logan's playing, I'm like watching a fly go around. Like I feel like it's not the kind of content for us that we want to do, and I think that a lot of other channels have seen a lot of success because of it. So I guess to answer your question, with COVID, I think that there's just a different era for everybody to do what they want to do and to do best in. And I think for us, because we were very TCG heavy, we were very like physical card heavy. Our locals was, super grateful for them. They were able to get all the cards. Our sponsor, grateful for them. They were able to get all the cards too. So like we were able to keep up with and showcase things that not a lot of other people were doing.
Able to, I think COVID was a boom for us and for a lot of channels because we were just able to thrive through it. And we were so new too. We were still so experimental, and like we just had so much room to grow, and I think it pushed us more because we wanted to make sure that the TCG didn't die out over COVID. Not that it was gonna like die out anyway, but we were like, oh well, let's
we were scared for it though, honestly.
Yeah, we were like, let's keep it alive, and we had so many solid sets coming out during the year of 2020. We got Etco, we got Rise, we got Great Battles, Legend sets. We got so many incredible sets.
Shout out to Adamancipator, the best deck that will never see a real tournament.
But yeah, I think COVID was definitely a boom for us. But now we're in this period of Master Duel where it's like there's a very big divide between content creating now. It seems like you're either doing a lot of Master Duel or you're not. And it's not a bad thing either way. Like we do Master Duel on stream, and we're trying to sort of emulate that into our channel. It should be a thing now weekly on Tuesdays. Our tournaments that are on Tuesdays on stream are now going to be shown highlighted on Tuesdays on the channel the following Tuesday.
Fun fact, that's my project tonight to edit.
So we're trying to like bridge a gap because I don't want to just be a Master Duel channel. I like the TCG. I play the TCG. We have invested so much into the TCG. I'm looking at all of our decks and our cardboard. Like I love playing the physical game, and I don't knock anyone who plays Master Duel, but like I just don't want to be an only Master Duel channel because I think there is so much to be gained from playing the TCG, and then you get such an advantage in playing Master Duel because it's so far behind the TCG that like there is room for the best of both worlds. I just think it's a fine balance that we're still trying to figure out.
Yeah, definitely agree. And what's interesting as well is from someone who, like, so I'm another. I don't really like the Master Duel that much. It's also a bit. That's why I really like your description of it being the dark days almost, because for someone who was seeing how the TCG was exploded and there was so much variety of content, it is a bit of a shame sometimes when it's like, a lot of my favorite creators only really do Master Duel content now, so it has really changed the landscape. But then at the same time, it also does kind of open up some area at the top where it's like, okay, a lot of these big creators are more Master Duel guys. Now there's some more guys who can kind of jump in and be those new TCG creators. So definitely it's really interesting. Yeah. Also, by the way, I really like that analogy of there being the 3 eras because I think, like, at least in terms of how I think of the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh history, Yu-Gi-Oh online history. It's basically exactly like that. Like I'll say,
Yeah. I guess like to clarify for anyone who may be watching this, it's 3 eras that we've been present in. I'm so much more aware of the fact that there's
gonna
people.
Be like, excuse me, there was an
Yeah.
era 15 years ago that you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like I'm aware of that. Just like we weren't part of that, so I can't experience that. So I can't.
Time, we
Yeah.
came in.
I
very
can't
late.
give you my experience. I'm just those are my terms for my experience.
Yeah.
I actually,
Oh yeah.
I actually think I remember watching you guys watch a video of like a wind-up profile from 2012.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I remember
Whose-
that
whose
was for
channel
a
was that
Blade
on?
video. It was Blade. It was for Blade.
That was it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
it.
for Blade, and he was like, "Oh, I want you guys to react to like this old like video," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's crazy how much Yu-Gi-Oh changes so like rapidly. Like we came in after Firewall got banned. Like I never experienced the Firewall nonsense. I came in during Eternal format, which was a very aggressive format, and so seeing older formats, like people will be like, "Oh, what did you think of like?" The Zodiac 2017 format. I'm like, I don't know. I
Bro, do you guys think the Dragon
but...
Rulers can come back? I've never read it.
I'm like, and sometimes I feel really ignorant, like, and it sucks because like I just wasn't there, and I've been so busy trying to keep up with the current game. I don't really have a lot of time to figure out the game 10, 12 years ago. But yeah, sometimes it really is wild and puts it in perspective that Yu-Gi-Oh just changes so rapidly, especially in the last 3 years that we've really been in it. Like 100%. It is bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose as well, you guys being content creators, like obviously you have to have your fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the TCG. I would imagine like pretty much 100% of the time, especially being a channel the size you guys are and all the other channels that you do work with. Like I'd imagine like there's just no time for you guys to, even if you wanted to, just be like, hey, should we sit down and learn like, I don't know, like Inzektor format, or like, hey, should we learn some
honestly, like, trying to find time to play the current decks is so difficult because we have to learn all the decks. I have to know what they're doing. Oh my goodness. Like, trying to find time to actually learn the decks we pick up for new formats is like a nightmare. People are like, where's this deck profile? Where is it? I'm like, I gotta learn it, man. Like, you gotta give me a minute. Like, I just don't have time. So yes.
This does bring me on to another question I had that we didn't have written down, but I did think about it earlier on in the day. So obviously you both play Yu-Gi-Oh, like you live together, like you're a partnership, like how do you guys test? Like, is it as cut and dry as like people may think it is, that you just sit down and just play Yu-Gi-Oh together for like 5 hours or whatever, or is it just no different to like any other testing circle? Like,
the honest answer is we don't test as much as people think.
We don't honestly. I'm gonna be honest, we don't test as much as we should. That's definitely a thing. But yes, we do genuinely sit on the living room floor, rip out a mat, and just play with each other for hours.
Like it's actually really funny. We have a Patreon, and like we do like one-on-one sessions, and one of our patrons asked us the other day, he asked us that same question. He's like, how do you guys test? And I was like, that's actually a really interesting answer. But like the synopsis is that most of the time when we are learning decks, we will try to learn them individually. Like I will learn a deck. Like I am doing Pearly right now. I'm trying to learn. Well, I'm playing Pearly. And I can guarantee you that Logan doesn't know half of those cards do. And like I'm trying to learn super heavy Samurai because we have a YCS in a couple days, and that's a deck I'm not going to play it, but I need to know what it does. And we usually learn our deck separately, and then once we found what we like, we will come together and we will test against one another. And it's like, hey, I'm trying to test Pearly. I know you can can we play against Cash? Okay, I know how to play against Cash. Can you play Sprite? Okay, I know how to play against Sprite. Can you play, like whatever, Sword Soul or whatever? Like test the decks that we all play, and like, I can do the same thing. Like when we go to Philadelphia this weekend, I'm probably going to bring like 5 decks because A, I don't know what I'm going to play yet, and B, I really want to have the ability to test against things and have our friends and, obviously Logan test against those decks as well. So I think we test separately or learn separately, and then we like test together and put ourselves in scenarios. I like to like roll a dice. If it's like, oh, I have 2 points of interaction, I'm going to special summon this guy. I'm going to activate the effect. Does my opponent have an interaction? 1, 2, 3 is yes. 4, 5, 6 is no. And play that way, because it almost puts you in the mindset of like, you don't know if your opponent's going to interact, because sometimes, and like, I don't mean this in a negative way, but sometimes when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you're like, oh, this is the smart thing to do. My opponent's clearly going to interact here. And then they don't. And you're like, oh, cool. They have no interaction. And then you go on, you go further, and they're like, okay, I'll interact here. You're like, what? But dude, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you even do that? That's so silly. Like that, what? But like, you have to, I like to prepare myself for those scenarios. So I just like, roll dice. 1, 2, 3 is yes. 4, 5, 6 is no, whatever. And just kind of play my hands accordingly with that. And then like Logan and I will sit down and we'll talk about, why did you do that instead of this, or you could have done that instead of this,
or we'll play open-handed, like things like that. But yeah, we do
Mm.
definitely test with each other. We don't really have time to test
We
anywhere
usually do
else.
it like 2 days before the event.
Yeah, we're really bad testers. We are not as prepared as people think we are. So every time either of us gets an invite, I'm like, wow, God is truly smiling down upon us today, because we are those kids that are doing things at the last minute, submitting the project at 11:59 p.m. Like, that's us. We're awful. Don't be us.
We just don't have the time. Like, that's what it really comes down
it's
to.
just,
We
there's
don't
not
have the
enough hours
time.
in the day. If we had more hours, I promise I'd get things done properly.
but that's the thing, right? Like, you guys have your own channel, you edit for a lot of the YouTubers, like, as well as, like, you know, having a real life. Like, there's got to be something, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, it is a balance, and I don't think we've necessarily found that balance, because I am exhausted. But yeah.
Kind of leaning into that time aspect as well, because I can definitely say that just the idea that you guys are editing from so many different channels, that's like mad. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. What was the kind of motivation to kind of get into that as well? Like, was it a case of that you guys had the skills and you just thought, oh, we can kind of help out the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, I come from this is the joke, everyone makes fun of me for it, but I was in a band I was in a band for forever. I played on Warped Tour and stuff like that. And I guess it sounds really stupid, but like, it is part of like the actual application, which is like, it's like that grinding mentality and that like go-getter mentality, where like when we were in a band, it was like, if we wanted to record or like a record, we could go pay $20,000 to go do it, or we could take 3 months, download a software, and learn, you know, spend hours and hours and hours on like, how does this work? What plugins work best with these equipment? Or like, you know, like, what presets do we want to use? What equipment is the best for what we have in the space and, you know, like our acoustics. We want shirts done. Okay, we can go grab shirts like from a provider, or we can learn how to do it ourselves. Like, everything was like, you can do it, but is it more cost effective to do it yourself? And I think that like when we started the channel, I just kind of like, I had that mentality.
Yeah.
So it was all right. We're here. We want to do this. We don't have enough money to pay an editor.
Do it ourselves.
We got to learn how to edit ourselves. So I like, from the inception of the channel, I downloaded Final Cut. Because like, being in a band, I'm a huge like Apple fan, Mac fan. All of their stuff just works really well with like the arts, whether it's, you know, graphic design, whether it's video, photo editing, any of that stuff. So picked it up, learned it for a little bit, and I just feel like the more that we did, the better I got at it, and the more like we became fluid in like how to edit. We put up a short, I think it was, or it was actually just, it was a video. It was one Master Duel video of us playing Eldritch and just like kind of laughing, and Farfa messaged us and was like, hey, who edits this? And we're like, we do. What do you mean?
We do.
He's like, would you edit for me? And we're like, we've never edited for anyone else before, but we could like give it a whirl.
It's very interesting. Like, you can see the progression on the channel. Like, if you go to obviously like the god awful dark days of our first uploads, and you go to videos in the middle, and then today, like, you can openly see the way that we are learning on the channel and our editing style and how we kind of fell into it. Like, it is very much, we learned everything as we went. It starts off very rocky. It is jarring and gaudy and a mess most of the time. And then we kind of find the simplicity in things. We find pacing, we find audio. We learn as we go, and like, the channel really refines itself over time, and I'm really proud of it, honestly, because it's definitely a learning process. Like, the channel's been around for almost 4 years, and you can see every single year the way that it changes and adapts and develops. And it's truly a test to just us being determined and learning and being persistent and wanting to always improve the content, instead of, you know, getting like complacent in one style and being like, oh, well, this is fine, people are watching this, and be like, okay, but like, how could we make it better? How can we make it shorter? How can we just make it more efficient and still be entertaining, and like maximize on the things that we could be doing better? But yeah, the whole editing for other people thing kind of just was a very happenstance instance that like, I got a DM on Twitter from Nadir, and he was like, who's your editor? Oh, it's you. Oh, do you want to edit for me? And I'm like, okay. It was very informal and very sudden. And then after that, we started editing for Farfa, and like, then Doug picked up and was like, oh, hey, I see what you're doing here. Do you want to do Saga? And then like, we're like, okay, sure. And then Joseph was like, hey, you know, I got this fun series called Junior Journey, if you want to hop in on that. And then Gage is like, oh, well, I mean, I could use an editor. And I'm like, oh, my Lanta. So it's kind of just become this cloud of chaos. But it's a lot of fun. It's nice to edit for other people and experiment with their styles, because we don't necessarily do on our channel what we would do on Farfa's or Doug's or Joseph's or even Gage's. Like, everyone has very individualized channels, and so it's you have to like pay a lot of mind to what their audience is catering to, and like what they want, and what is entertaining to them is not necessarily entertaining to us. And so we get to have a lot more creative freedom with Farfa videos, because his is a lot more laid back and it's a lot of fun. Doug's is a lot more like formulaic, and his are series based.
Yeah.
So it's very much, we can have fun in the stretch of what it's allowing us to do, but it's a lot more concise. And yeah, it's a lot of fun being able to manipulate other people's content, but have fun and learn what their content is kind of doing. Like, when editing a Farfa video, we learned so much, and I'm like, oh, well, if people like this, like, why don't we, try to emulate that in our style and like kind of make that work? Because some people, you just learn a lot editing other people's content. We really learn what people are into, and that the things that we thought we were like fearful of, and like things that we were too nervous to do, we can do it on his channel. We're like, oh, this is fine. Like, so it's really cool. It's a very fun experience to be able to edit for so many people and also ourselves.
Wow, no, that's actually so awesome. And so, just as a running tally, by the way, how many people? I feel like I heard 3 people in there. I might have heard 4.
It's 4 I counted.
Yeah. So we edit mostly for Farfa, and then Doug, so he just rounded out Roulette and Saga. We will be picking up Saga and Roulette, and we will now be editing Roulette. We only edited Saga for Doug before, but now we are doing both series. So we are now full time for Doug. And then starting next week, and then Joseph, we do Junior Journey right now. Junior Journey is very sporadic.
Junior Journey
it is very sporadic. It is kind of whenever he gets it, and it's fine. And then we literally
we were in like a call with Joseph the other day, and he was like, "Oh, Junior Journey's coming back after 2 months.
Like,
you guys
wow,
I was like, "Oh, you remembered it." Cool.
And then literally 3 days ago, Gage asked us to start working on some stuff for him. So literally, it's 4 creators now and ourselves. But it's definitely like it bounces around. Like, Doug is full time, Nadir is almost full time.
Yeah.
We're full time.
We're sometimes we find somewhere to upload for ourselves. It's not as consistent as I'd like it to be, but we try.
Gosh, yeah, you guys are really on it. That's very, very impressive. And I guess another question that you did give some really good tips there would be, have you got any other tips that would be really useful for smaller channels? Because I guess your mindset in terms of always having that continuous improvement, always looking for a different way to improve, and just not just being okay with it being good enough. What else would you say to someone who's small?
I could talk about this for hours.
There's a lot.
I will try to condense it into a few small points. The first of which is, and this is like such a hard truth, but I think it kind of ties in with the second point too. But the first point is, like, we get so many people at least like 4 to 5 times a week that are like, "Hey man, can you look at my YouTube channel? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not making money? Like, what's going on with this? Like, what is happening here? Like, can you look at this? Can you look at that? Like, what's going on?" But it always comes back down to like money. And it's like, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing, if you take anything away from this conversation, it's this: if you're getting into YouTube because you think it's a paycheck, it's not. It's not.
Don't.
We do not make the types of money that you think we do. No. There is a reason that you have seen the shift of Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, like you've seen, and like this kind of goes into what we were talking about with like the Master Duel era. You've seen a lot of content creators shift from Yu-Gi-Oh content creators who stream to Twitch streamers who now make Yu-Gi-Oh content. And it's because Twitch pays so much more than YouTube does. And that isn't even like, that doesn't even, I'm not telling you like, oh, don't go do YouTube, go do Twitch. Like, that's also not like, if you're doing it for the monetary income, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Please reassess your reassess your
priorities.
Motives. 100%. Like, it is fun. It's a labor of love for sure. And it pays sometimes, but like it is not something.
There are seasons, there are waves. Like, YouTube is not all glorious all the time for every creator. There are creators who are, and like in editing for other creators, we edit for people who are quadruple our size, and they go through the same seasons of struggle that we do, and like no
one talks about it, but it's real. It's real.
It's real for everybody. So even when you see big creators like putting up videos, there are times like the winter is hard. Like the first like quarter of the year, January to April, is really tough. Honestly, the only like hot times for YouTube is like Christmas and like summer. And that's about it. The rest of it is very much an uphill battle. So it's very blanketed across everybody. There's no one who is just coasting.
I
It is
think-
constant work.
Yeah, and I think that like ties into my second point, and like this is like it is another like harsh truth, but like you can grind as much as you want, you can push as much as you want, and like we're a perfect example. I think if you dive deep enough into any of your favorite channels, you'll find this. There is an element of luck as well. There is 100% an element of luck. That's not to say that you can't do it on your own and you can't do it by grinding, but like when you have that little push, when you have that little
opportunity
from like, you know, whether it's a different creator, whether it's just the community in general, whether it's you had like one video that popped off. Yeah, like there is a small element of luck that does help if you you don't have that.
Yeah,
element.
it's not. I don't even know if luck is the word. I feel like it's more like just like the stars aligning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes it's not luck when you know, sometimes people put in a lot of work and I'll use an example of our video because I am going to use ourselves as an example because it's just easier. The World Legacy Lore was a video that was like it's the biggest video on our channel. It's my baby. I love that video. We did it literally right when COVID happened. And it was a video that we put so much time in, so much work. Like it took hours of recording, days of editing, like just so much work. And it was back when
a week of research.
we were teeny. Like it was back when the channel was so small. We were just getting off of our feet. And we were very nervous because I'm like, what if we put all this work into this lore and no one watches it? What if we put like hours and like I bought all the cards, I go through everything. Like it's extremely low budget. I watch it back now and I cringe out of my mind because I am like, oh, we could have done this so much better. But I didn't know back then because I just used what I was available to me. I had no setup, nothing. I used my iPhone and my phone kept filling storage and like stopping. And like I had to keep re-recording because my phone kept exploding. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. And I was like, what if we went through all of this and all of this editing and like tacky stuff we did and no one watches it? I'm like, this is going to break my soul in half. I don't know how I'm going to want to make content after that. And so we put it up. And I remember the day we put it up, it did okay. It did fine. I was like, okay, that's like cool and everything. And I like watched it for days and I'm like, okay, it's like not doing great. And I was like really down about it. I'm like, okay, it's like doing whatever. It's not like the worst video, but it's like, I kind of wanted this to like be the pop. And then literally like it took weeks, almost a month. And then out of nowhere, it just blew up. It just skyrocketed and it just zoomed after that. Like sometimes it takes a while for a video to hit that pop, and like genuinely, like you can put effort into a video and it will do well eventually, probably, like it, but it has to hit. Like, so I don't want to say luck because you still have to put effort into something. You have to put the effort in, the work in, but the stars have to align and it has to just meet that little break where people are like, oh, this is crazy. This is something because it was right in like pre-Etco format when the World Legacy lore was wrapping up. People were really interested. It was COVID, so people were really interested in the lore. They had time to sit and watch an hour-long video, and it just happened to work out that I did it at the exact right time. And all that effort didn't go to waste, and now it is literally the biggest video on our channel, and I'm so
I also
proud
think
of it.
too that like when it comes down to it, and this like sounds super corny, but I'm like a super corny dude. You always hear about like, you know, you have to be in the right place at the right time. But like when you're in the right place at the right time, you also have to be ready.
Yes.
If you're not ready, you will miss that opportunity.
Yeah,
and I think that's really like and like that's why I said like a little bit of luck element, because like you have to get lucky, but you also have to be prepared.
Yes.
Like if you are not like, and I think that is why you see, like, I guess like maybe a piece of advice, this is like right off the cuff here, but make sure that you are ready. Make sure that like, you know, you're not filling in gaps as you go. Make sure like, you know, you're always learning. You never become stagnant. You're always trying to make sure that you're pushing yourself every time, every video, every concept, every idea. And then once that opportunity comes, you're ready for whatever it's able to throw at you because you've been in those scenarios before. You've learned how to become prepared.
Yeah. And it is definitely like, there is learning. Like when our channel like got little Team Samurai break, essentially, I was like, oh, we can take it and ride with it. But like we also were like, okay, we have to make it work. We have to like suddenly we have to put a lot of care and a lot of love into the content we're making, and we can't just slack off. We can't just be like, oh, we'll just coast, like, because you can't. Like YouTube is so unforgiving on a constant basis that like if you don't upload for a week or if you don't upload for 2 weeks, the algorithm absolutely can't stand you, and it already can't stand you. So like there is so much effort that has to go into content creating that there is no even if you think someone is coasting or you think someone's just got it easy, there's so much that happens behind the scenes for every single video. Like I cannot stress enough that like it is a labor of love. It is a massive labor of love. There is always an element of the right place at the right time. But that's with anything, you know, if you want to succeed in anything, it's yes, you do have sometimes just have to grind for it and work for it. But that time will come where something will get recognized because you have been so consistent, because you have been working hard. It's just the timeline is different for everybody. Some people have a video that pops off early. Some people have to work for it and like it'll show up a little later. It's just the life. You can't make it happen when you want it to necessarily. And you can put a lot of love into something, but it doesn't guarantee that it's going to hit the audience immediately. It's a lot of patience, and patience is the hardest thing to have in the, you know, the Zoomer era of instant gratification, where it's TikTok, it's everything is so fast and so immediately given to you that the thought of putting up a video on YouTube and waiting for it to, you know, to start popping off or to start hitting is unbearable. Like with shorts, they're a perfect example. I think shorts are so interesting because we will put up a short and it will do god awful for like 11 days to 3 weeks. It'll do terrible. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And then out of nowhere, like day 22 will like hit and dawn upon us, and it just skyrockets. Something happens, the algorithm decides it cares, and it just bumps it to the moon. Like it truly is a waiting game sometimes. It doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean your content sucks. It just means the algorithm is waiting for your time. And it's like waiting your turn. It's crazy. Yeah. So it really is a waiting game, and it's a lot of patience. And then really quick, just one point I want to make for tips that are just really generic for like smaller YouTubers or people who just want to get into it more. Don't worry about having an expensive setup or anything. And I say this all the time. It's like, don't worry about having an expensive setup. Don't worry about, oh, I have to have this mic or whatever. We just got these mics like 4 days ago. Literally, it's been 4 years. We finally have normal mics. Like I cannot stress.
Two of them, by the way.
Like
we used to have one just like dangling right here.
It's you do not have to have the most expensive setup, or you don't have to blow a ton of money to get started. We did an iPhone in a dream for the longest time.
Your phone has some of the best camera. One of the best cameras out there right now.
Like a lot of us still use our phones for things. Half of our vlogs I'm filming on my phone because you can't carry a camera around most of the time because they're bulky. Like your phone goes a long way. You don't have to have expensive mics. You don't have to have the best lighting. Like we didn't have lights for. We didn't even know you could get those for the longest time. Like there is just it's all your enthusiasm, it's all your personality. A lot of it is just the effort you put into it. Like if you want it to work and you put the love into it and you are excited and you are enthusiastic, like personality goes so damn far. Like I don't think people understand. Like when they're like, what do I do? I'm like, literally be excited. Like be excited about the thing you're talking about. Be yourself and be excited. Like don't like it seems so easy that like it's like, oh, don't worry about money or whatever, because like you can have really nice audio and everything, but if you're boring and you're not excited about your content, I'm not gonna watch it anyway. So that goes a long way. And like the willingness to learn and the willingness to adapt, like Brian said, is like, don't become stagnant. Like you have to want to make your content work, and like you can't just rely on, oh, I'm doing this deck that obviously everybody likes, I'm just gonna do a deck profile. Cool. Why should I care about your deck profile versus someone else's deck profile? Like, give me something, even if it's your existence, your personality. Like, make yourself an inception and a part of your channel that people want to be there for.
I'd like to think that a lot of people come to our channel. I could be wrong, but I'd like to think that a lot of people come to our channel, yes, because we make Yu-Gi-Oh content, but they come because of us. They don't come because like.
I like to think people come because of us.
Like you can go see a Pearly deck profile or a Drytron deck like anywhere,
or
right?
the 86 Tri-Brigade deck profile.
Like, but I'd like to think that like you come for us. You come for our inflection of it. You come for like maybe the editing of it because we try to make it a little funny here and there. Like I'd like to think that it is a personality that we have developed, and while you're subscribed to the channel, you come back because of Logan and Brian.
Of course, yeah. Like you like your favorite creators because they're your favorite creators. You don't like it's like anyone can put up whatever video. You don't go, oh, I liked this video that this creator made. It's like, no, I like this creator who also made this video. Like you watch Farfo because he's goofy and funny. You watch Doug because he's Doug. Like Joseph
Shout out to Doug.
Like everyone has such distinct personalities that like of course you watch them for them. So like the only advice I can really give you is like, don't worry about dollar signs in any regard, whether it's your equipment or what you're going to be making, because you won't be making anything for a while. It's truly about yourself. Like in the most selfish way, you have to sell yourself. Like you have to make yourself like show who you are. Like
Yeah.
if you're excited about this game enough to make a video about it, you can be excited on camera.
I
Like,
think like my final point to round this out, maybe move on to the next one. I feel like we spent a lot of time here.
yeah.
And
lot to talk about.
this is a hard one, a really, really hard one, and it's one that we are still trying to learn ourselves. Is, for Christ's sake, know your fucking boundaries. I'm sorry if we're not, but like that is the biggest downfall to any creator, and the biggest downfall to any channel is when you push yourself and you push yourself and you push yourself and you're burnt out and you're exhausted and you're tired and you're grumpy and you're hungry and you're angry, and then you get on camera, it's like, what's up, everyone? And it's like, people don't want to come for that. You need to know your boundaries, and you need to know when to take a step away. And I think that and it's very difficult as content creators, because as we said, right, like YouTube, if you don't upload for a week, they don't like you very much.
YouTube's always dangling it right above you, and it's like, oh, if you don't upload, we're gonna make your numbers terrible for a month. And it's like, oh, God, I gotta upload. All right, okay, what do we do? Let's just put something up. I don't know what, I'm miserable.
And like Twitch is the same thing, where like if you're not live, you're not getting subs. If you're not getting subs, you're not getting paid. But at the same time, I think you, like, what I mean by like know your boundaries is know financially, if you do this for a living, like if you can sustain for a couple of days off, it is so worth the mental break, and it's so worth like the ability to just go out and like get fresh air and not think about it for a couple days, because it will drive you nuts.
Oh, yeah.
We do this like
we're hypocrites.
46
Absolute
hours
hypocrites.
a day.
We are preaching to you right now, because we can't do it ourselves. Like I am burnt out constantly. Like I try not to post about it too much on Twitter, but everyone's heard about it on Twitter. Like I will be burnt out a lot, because there's constantly so much happening in this sphere, even if it doesn't seem like it. Like, it is so easy to exhaust yourself, even if it doesn't seem like it. And you'd think like, oh, we're just making Yu-Gi-Oh videos. It is exhausting. Like it's tough. And like on top of that, on top of going to events and everything and regionals in between and travel, and like there is just so much happening that it is so easy to, like, once you finally sit down, you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I'm going to die. So it's really a lot of self-care too. So
you can be your best like ally, and you can also be your own worst enemy.
Absolutely. So like it's a fine line with taking care of yourself, and you don't realize it a lot until it's too late. But definitely like make sure you are taking care of yourself.
We say this all the time. You, like, in this sphere, this career, whatever you want to call it, like, you are your own boss. No one is going to pull you into an office and hold you accountable. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable. And that is so much more like difficult than it is just to be said.
Oh yeah, because it's like I think I don't know where was it Shark Tank? I heard this quote. I don't know if I'm even gonna make this quote right. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna butcher this, but like I think it was Mark Cuban. I think it was on Shark Tank. He said, entrepreneurs and creators will work a 200-hour work week, so they don't have to work a 40-hour 9-to-5. And it's true. Like we will run ourselves into the ground, because we want to have our thing and have control over our creation. And it's cool and it's great and it's beautiful when it works. But it's all because we just, we want to be our own bosses, and we want to succeed, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we will work ourselves into the ground doing it. So good luck.
One of the things I would probably say as well is having someone to work with probably does help a bit though, right? Like having that person next to you. I mean,
honestly, sometimes it's crazy good, and sometimes it's really frustrating.
I can imagine the bad as well sometimes.
We definitely have creative differences sometimes, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
And there's just like some days too, right, where we said like emotional, like make sure that you are like holding yourself accountable. There's days where I get up and I'm like, bro, I can't wait. I'm ready. I got this ready to go. I'm down. I'm pumped. I'm excited. And Logan's like, I just can't make it happen today. Like I need another day.
Honestly, it's kind of a downfall, because like we're two totally different people with totally different like emotional, like social responses to everything. And like I am far more emotional. I am also far more exhausted easily. I'm just the weaker of the two of us, if I can be real. So like honestly, like it's tough. Some days I can't do it, or he can't do it, or we just can't. We can't make it work, and we have to put it off, and it sucks, and then we're mad that we had to put it off, and we're just angry, and then when it comes to recording, like something will happen, or like things will pile up, and like it's tough sometimes, and sometimes we just don't agree on what we want to do, and one of us will think an idea is great, one of us will think an idea is really stupid, and we don't want to do it, and I'm very vocal about that, and it's really tough sometimes. Like so it seems easy having a duo, but it can definitely have amazing benefits, and it's great because we always have someone to bounce off of and have fun with. And in videos, the chemistry is great because we get to make fun of each other and mess around. and all that.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, it can be really tough sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's funny because I'm thinking the same thing. Like, so I work with my wife on some things, and one thing that I'd say, for example, is it's exactly it. Where there is sometimes my wife is very, very critical. Like, she's got a very fine eye for things, and sometimes I'm offended. Like when I when I share my videos, sometimes it's like I don't want to, but I know I have to. Because it's like if I don't, it's gonna be worse. But when I do, she's like, "Yep, this is wrong," and that she'll have like a list. She's very organized. She'll send me a WhatsApp with like a list of everything that's wrong, and I'm just afterwards, I'm like, "I love you, babe. I love you." And I was like,
I love that.
Thanks.
So yeah, definitely. But let's go to another talk. By the way, that was absolutely amazing. Look, if you're listening to this podcast, that last like 20 minutes, my advice to you is to just save that and listen to it like every day or something, because there's a lot of keys in there. Yeah, don't miss out. But let's talk about Nats.
Learn from our mistakes, please.
Dan, I feel like you're about to land something before I jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I feel like that was definitely some absolutely insane knowledge that was dropped by you two there. A lot of the topics that we actually had, you ended up just covering automatically. Which was amazing. Saved us a lot of time. But also, I think we got the first, like, maybe I could be wrong, the first documented Crush Cards swear. So I'll take that.
Oh no!
Oh, you should watch streams.
Yeah, we swear all the time on streams.
Oh, streams. So
okay,
funny. People, I think that's like so hilarious because on stream we curse and stuff because it's stream. It's a lot more laid back of an atmosphere. But in videos, we obviously YouTube monetization is the devil. So it is really tough.
It barely exists anymore.
Yeah, it's really rough. So we try to keep it as family friendly as possible as we put your own podcast. By just dropping bombs here. But yeah, stream is a totally different animal. So people come to stream and they're like, "Oh my god, yeah, they're swearing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm like a grown adult." Like, yes, sometimes, yes, believe it or not, it's totally like they're just totally different like spheres. So it's like the business in the front, party in the back kind of thing, you know? Like,
we are the mullet.
Yeah.
But yeah, genuinely, like some absolutely insane knowledge. Brian, I really liked the way that you looked at it initially from like taking your experience as like a musician, because that's something that like myself and a couple of other members of the podcast have definitely taken sort of experience with our creative roots down our Yu-Gi-Oh route like that, and like with the channel and stuff. So yeah, definitely, like if you're listening like and you're not absorbing knowledge with that, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah, let's bring it back into the Yu-Gi-Oh talk, shall we, fam?
Yeah, so that season we'll have a little bit of a chat about that. So I guess I don't know if it's just national season. It's like WCQ season as well. Like a lot of things are happening. But what do we all think so far? Like I would say we're now well and truly inside it. Like it's kind of established what decks are good and such. So what do we all think? What do we think of this format? Firstly, like Dan asked me this question, so I'm gonna steal it. Do we like it or do we not like it? What do you think?
It's not even a question of like whether I like it or not. I just really want a ban list. That would really help a lot of my decision making. It's like become a meme at this point of like, oh, where's the ban list? But like, no, really, like, where is it? Like, Nationals is less than 2 months away. We have a YCS in like 4 days, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, is Cash gonna be viable in the next format? Is there gonna be a next format? What the hell are we doing at Nats? Like, there is just so much playability right now. Like, there are so many decks that are viable. We're getting more decks out of Wild Survivors. Like, there's just so much going on that I'm like, without a ban list, it feels far too open. And I know it's like cool because everyone can play whatever they want, but it's also awful because side decking is almost impossible for the amount of variance.
It's unbelievably like you just can't do it.
Yeah. So like, I am in a very weird place right now with Yu-Gi-Oh because I really want a ban list, like unironically, because I need to know what I need to prepare for, what is actually going to matter at Nationals. And like this YCS I've already just decided is kind of mentally scuffed for me because I don't know what I'm gonna play Cash, I guess. Because it hasn't gotten hit and it's just the best deck. Yeah. Why would I play any other deck right now when Cash is completely full power? And I like sure, these new decks are cool. Pearly's great, Super Heavy's great, but like I'm just gonna play Cash. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, it's just, it feels so strange that we haven't gotten a new format yet. And sure, I'm sure they're waiting for after Philly, but I don't know what I feel because they haven't given us any communication, which is really frustrating because I would love to know what I want to play for Nats because I don't know right now.
Yeah. I think like we said this in we actually did like a little interview yesterday too, which is funny, and it was the same question, same response. I think London format was frustrating enough because that was like the most
Mhm.
recent YCS that we went to. And it was bad, right? But like you have decks like Kashtira being one of the most powerful decks. You have Sprite being one of the most consistent decks that is also one of the most splashable decks. You can play like Evil Twin or Live Twin Sprite, which is like one of my favorite decks. You can just play like Melfi Sprite. You can play a Runic Sprite. Like that's 3 decks right there with just Sprite cards, right? So you have to prepare for all that because they all play and interact differently. And then on top of that, you've got like Branded, which is a ridiculously strong deck. You've got Math Mech. You've got Naturia, yeah, like Sword Soul, Labyrinth. Like that's 10 decks right there that aren't tier limit. And like I know that a lot of people hated tier limit format, but I think when they hit tier limit, they almost hit it too hard to the point where everything opened up. And as Logan said, because you can play everything, you can't prepare for anything. And it's like it's really difficult to want to go to a competitive level event where you have all the same problems as like those 10 decks. Not that they're problems, but you have the same openness in the format with those 10 decks. And now also you have to worry about Pearly, you have to worry about super heavy Samurai, you have to worry about, you know, like any of the new decks that got support that could bump up to the rogue category as well. I know we talked about Labyrinth, but like Labyrinth is completely changing the way that they play. Dragon, Bestial Control, whatever. Like there are so many freaking decks in the format right now that are good because we haven't gotten a ban list. And like it really stunts deck building when you have like something like Cash being one of, if not the best deck in the format still, 100%. Where you have to play 2 Zeus, you have to play double copies of Gigantic or double copies of Sprint or whatever. Like
people are maining Kaijus. Like then now we're in like a very hand trap heavy format because everyone needs to play hand traps because you can't just let your opponent play because you will just die. Like so now not only are we like having really awful side decks being built, but like we're main decking every hand trap we can possibly play, even if it doesn't make sense, because you have to. Like it feels like, I'm not saying we shouldn't have like an open format because I definitely like more open formats so there's a little more variability. However, this is a little too much, and I would just like the ban list to just kind of tighten it up. Like I just something has to happen because like even in beyond Cash, like I think like yes, Cash will get hit, but we need like there's got to be some generic. I don't even know at this point anymore because it's been so long. There is just so much that is.
We just need to trim the edges, right? Like, and I said this yesterday in like our conversation, but we went to a tournament probably a month or so ago, 3 weeks ago, where I didn't do as well as I wanted to, and I was really frustrated by it. And it's tough, like as a content creator, you know, people are like, "Oh, you know, you can't be mad. What the hell?" Like, it's like we're people at the end of the day, like right, like we're mad, and it's frustrating to lose to something like Kashtira, which like theoretically, I know that like there's no like actual evidence that this should be happening, but like obviously Konami has a pattern. There is deck A, B, C that are the best decks, and then decks E, F, G come out, and then we get a ban list so that we can bump A, B, C down to force you to play E, F, G, right? Like it is a circle of the best decks rotating. And I think it's really frustrating knowing that we have these new best decks out, knowing that we are going to get a ban list. It is inevitable at this point. It's going to happen soon. And you go to a tournament and you lose to something like Kashtira and you're like, damn, dude, this deck shouldn't even be around. So that's really lame.
And
or
that's why
you go and you play against Sprite and it's like, bro, Blues at 3, Jets at 3, Starters at 3. I can hand trap you 4 times, but you just have every extender in the game. Or like Labyrinth. I lost because homie drew 3 skill drain. I drew like Lightning Storm, he had Judgment. I drew Cosmic, he had, you know, the 3rd skill drain. I'm like, bro, this card shouldn't be at 3 either. Like it's just you want a ban list so that you can have not even some of the decks go away, but just the consistency brought down so that people will choose to play other things. And the format does this. Like it's still open, it's just not as open. And I think that that's what we both really want.
I just find it really hard to believe that they want us to be excited about a YCS when like all these cool decks have come out, like Pearly and Super Heavy, and like they're fine, they're viable, but like Cash is just the best deck. Why would anyone just not play Cash when it's absolutely full power?
What was the event? Where top 32, it was like 18 or
Brazil.
Brazil, freaking Brazil.
It was like all Cash.
The first place deck said Super Heavy. No, it's the first area was like
it was Kashtira, Super Heavy Samurai, and then the next 9 slots were Kashtira.
18 out of the top 32 was Kashtira.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't blame them.
I don't.
To expect any of these decks to hold up because Pearly I think is a fantastic deck after Cash gets hit, but right now it just gets absolutely stomped on by Cash, and so I'm like, how is YCS Philly supposed to be anything other than just Cash? Like it feels so bizarre. And like
it feels almost like, I don't know, it sounds really bad and I don't want to come off like mean or anything, but like it almost sounds like a slap in the face, right? Like it feels like we are going to go to Philadelphia. We are going to play these decks that we know shouldn't be around, that we inevitably know are going to get hit on the ban list probably in the next week or two. Philly happens, it's over, we all drive home. Monday or Tuesday we get a ban list. It's like, oh, these
And it's
decks are
like,
gone now. It's
oh.
like we could have just played this format and
I
it
think
would have
that's
been
what it is.
relevant.
Like, we know a ban list is coming, and like, you know, it's the meme on Twitter. Like, everyone knows it's coming, and there's no reason it can't come yet. Like, there's like really none. Like,
It feels irrelevant.
Like, it feels, this format has felt fake for like weeks now, and everyone is getting so close to that snapping point that it's like every day we're all commenting like, okay, but like, where is it? Like, this is like this, because it's just silly. And now knowing that next week we will probably come home from Philly and there will be a ban list, it's like, wow, that's
Sweet.
so great. I'm so excited. Like, it really does feel like a slight sometimes, I swear.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is as well is when you look at the last, I'd say, year and a half, Konami have been, not year and a half, maybe a year. Konami have released so many good support cards for so many archetypes, and it's like you just can't play them because first Tier and Sprite was slapping you up, so you just lose.
Yeah.
Then now Kashtira is slapping you up, so you're just gonna lose again. So it's like, again, it's like just before this I was showing down like Libromancer, Mathmech, and it's like Libromancer's got loads of cool cards, but I mean, while Cash is in the format, you don't want to play that deck, or you
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to bother.
Yeah. Even like the new, like you said, even as was it there's a deck coming out in Wild Survivors, Vanquish Soul. I thought that was
Yeah,
it,
Vanquish Soul, yeah.
That deck's got some of the coolest themes. Like it's almost like a
super rad.
fighting game and all of this.
Yeah,
like,
it's based on like Tekken or Soul Calibur, right?
Yeah, it's so epic. But
Yeah.
again, it's like I don't know when Super Heavy Samurai, even Super Heavy Samurai exists, and then it's like before that again, Kashtira, like I don't know, Rise Heart's gonna banish every card from your deck anyway. So yeah,
I think
it's
the big
quite
issue
frustrating.
too, and like this is something that like it's really frustrating for me personally, and like I apologize in advance to everyone watching this, but like people hated on tier limit, right? And I get it. The deck was super OP. The deck was really, really powerful. It was a tier 0 format, but like from a competitive standpoint, it was the most fun deck I have ever played in my life. It was the most interactive, and like it made you think. And I would make the argument that 99% of the time the better player won the tier mirror. And a lot of people were just like, oh, it's not even the tier cards, it's the Ishizu cards, right? Like when they mail 15 cards from the top of your deck, it's like, oh, that's really crazy. And it's like, bro, why is no one complaining about Mindhacker banishing 8 and then banishing 16? It's
And
like,
then you're ripping your extra deck.
yeah, like that's what makes you lose. It's not even the Kashtira card. It's the
Yeah.
fact that like when you like I've played Pearly against Logan multiple times with the Kashtira match, and it's like I don't care how many cards I have when I've lost all 3 Pearlies because you've just banished them all face down. It's like I can't even play the game.
Yeah,
It's just
if Mindhacker doesn't get banned, I will be actually astounded. I'm really hoping they do, but you know, sometimes they don't make the plays I think they will.
I could really see Konami doing something like not banning it and like just hitting like loads of random.
I don't think they
Kashtira
will.
main deck
I
monsters.
don't think they're
mortified
gonna.
that they won't.
I think they put
Uh,
like Unicorn Fenrir to 1 and call it a
that'd
consistency.
be
Do you
so
get it? I
bad.
can see them doing that.
Yeah,
I can very much see them doing that. And well,
Oh,
They've
To be
been
honest-
following a lot of the OCG trends lately with the ban lists too. So
it's rough.
Mindhacker's still
Yeah.
legal there.
yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know about this format, to be honest. Like, I'm very much in the similar sort of vein because, as of the recording of this podcast, like our nationals is on Saturday,
Yes.
and me and Fabs were just talking about it. I played Kashtira at London. I did okay, and Fabs like, "Oh, what are you playing?" I was like, "Well, I know how to play Kashtira. I guess I'll just play Kashtira, but I'm not looking forward to it. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
like that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, yeah, I'm like, I guess I'll play Cash because it's the best deck, and
Yeah,
why
yeah.
wouldn't I play it? But like, yeah, I feel nothing for Cash. Like, and I
Yeah.
said this yesterday on Eva's stream. I was like, Cash
Shout out
is
Eva.
like no one's favorite deck. It's like no one's like,
Yeah.
oh my heckin' god, I
Yeah.
love Cash. It's like, oh, it's just the best deck. I guess I'll play it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like Cash is just so like no one likes Cash,
No
but
one
we all
likes
have
Cash,
to play
yeah.
it, and
Yeah,
it's like
you have to.
it's like
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome. The deck, it's so
Yeah.
bad. Like,
Do you know what though? I don't even think it's a case of like you have to play Kashtira, but like I mean it is the best deck, but
Yeah.
there's still decks that are definitely they have a fighting chance. But it's
Yeah,
just like
yes.
like Kashtira is so strong, it's so consistent, like it does
Yes.
so much with one card.
It is the
Why would you not?
it is the easiest choice to be
Yeah,
like, oh well, if
that's
I have
exactly it.
access to it and I can, I'm just gonna play it. Like I
Yeah.
could play any other deck. I have Sword Soul. I have literally any deck I could play. But I'm like, well, I'm just gonna play Cash. I like
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
safest choice.
Yeah.
Like it's the safest and best choice, and I
That-
hate
yeah.
that. I hate it.
That's
Yeah,
literally
and,
exactly how it is. Like with
Yeah.
Kashtira, there's you could play super heavy, you could play pearl, you can play all this, but all of those decks, you're gonna have to put in so much more effort to pull out a
Yes,
win.
it's an
Sometimes.
uphill battle.
Cashtira, sometimes you just change shifter and then you win because
Yeah, yeah, like the cash, you just like sometimes you just have birth and unicorn, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Birth needs to get banned, man.
But
Yo,
I
Birth is the
agree.
best card in that
I
deck.
know it's kind of like the whole point of the deck to be able to like normal summon your sevens, but like, yo, birth can get banned. Like, I don't care about
Yeah.
that.
That
the
card
slightest.
is
Card is
dumb.
toxic.
ridiculous. Absolutely
Disgusting.
ridiculous.
Disgusting.
The amount of games that like I have won through purely just having birth in rotation is
Oh, absolutely.
it's unfair. Like I'm not
Yes.
good at Yu-Gi-Oh, but birth made me good at Yu-Gi-Oh.
Literally. It's crazy. Like I got my invite like not even a month ago in Columbus with Cash, and like I had picked the deck up. I'm not even joking. Like 6 days prior, and I'm like, I felt like the entire regional in 9 rounds, I was literally clicking buttons. Like I was sitting there, and I'm like, yup, okay, unicorn, okay, birth, okay, mind hacker, okay, arise heart. Like I felt like the deck is just so unbelievably
It
like
plays itself.
Yes,
It really does.
Yes,
Like
it is so it's like the opposite of tier, where tier really rewarded you for like great piloting and skillful interaction and thinking ahead and premeditating and like, oh, I have to play through this, and what if they mill this? Like, where do I interact? Whereas this, I'm like, oh, you ashed my unicorn. It's okay. I opened Theosis. Teehee. Like, it's like it just doesn't. It feels like nothing matters. Like I'm just playing it, and I'm just clicking buttons.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, so this format, like I think we can all safely say, is just we're all just a bit done with it. I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we're just done, and it's like it's not stale isn't even the word. We're just kind of over it. I don't know. It's just like, ugh.
I think for me, it's kind of what I said, where it's not even that I'm over it. It's just that I know that it is over, right? Like I know that within the matter of X amount of days or weeks, we are going to get a ban list, and this isn't going to matter any longer. I think the whole community knows that, which is why everyone is pestering, like, yo, ban list, ban list, ban list,
because
like
we know it's not real.
we know that this isn't an actual format that is going to matter for the world for the U.S. World Championship
no one's gonna
qualifiers
be
format.
like, oh,
so
I loved the cash Syak format.
yeah.
There's no one.
It's like no one. Like
Yeah. Just before we briefly change topic as well, I just want to get it out there that like Konami's Twitter, like the Yu-Gi-Oh, that it's a shambles. I don't know.
Hilarious. They are so good at trolling.
I can't even believe it's real. Like that damn Duelist Nexus thing is driving me insane. Like they have tweeted that like every 2 days. I'm like, dude, like you guys are not even funny anymore. Like you at least pick a different post. Like, oh my god, it's
like
awful.
they have to know what's going on, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like now I feel like they're doing it on purpose, and I can't like I do find it a little bit funny.
Weeks ago,
it's conveniently at noon every day, and I'm like, this is disgusting. Like y'all can stop.
I find it just a little bit funny because before it's like it would irritate me because I was like, how do you not know? And now it's like, no, you guys know. You know what you're doing.
It's the opposite for me. I was like, oh, that's funny. See, they're trolling us. That's adorable. And now I'm like, okay, like this is like you know what you're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah,
what's going on?
I'm in the same boat as you here, Logan. Like, I think that's part of the reason why I think I'm a little bit done with this format.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a ban list. It's going to be a ban list.
Absolutely.
No, there isn't. The real ban list was just like the friends we made, innit?
Yeah, literally, the friends we made along the way. Like, truly.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But okay, what we're going to do is we're going to roll into our last topic, actually, because we just hit the hour mark. And so I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the Am I the Arsehole subreddit on Reddit.
I'm an old person. I don't touch Reddit.
I'll let Dan explain it while I bring it up.
Lay it on me.
So basically, there's this subreddit where people submit scenarios that have happened to them in their life, and they want validation for if they're an asshole or not. Off the big Reddit like armchair psychologist, and Fab pulls up like one of his most choice ones that he's found over the week, and he gives us the tea, and we decide if the person is an asshole or not.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one reads: Am I the asshole for telling my friend that their baby's name sucks? So let me read the story.
You know what's really funny about this? I'm not gonna try to dox anything, but
absolutely.
Logan and I talk about baby names all the time. Not saying that that's anything happening. I'm just saying
no. That came out really weird. That's not what that means.
Yeah. We have a lot of friends though that are having kids. And I guess like what I mean by that is like we have like certain, you know how like certain friends have like certain personalities, and it's like, oh, this one's gonna name their kid Dave. This one's gonna name their and it's like this one's gonna name their kid, you know, like
Apple.
yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you have the friends that you can very much read like what they're gonna like name their kid.
Yeah, so we talk about this all the
And
time.
so we have a friend. She's very pregnant, and she's gonna be having a kid. And I'm like, I every day I'm like, what do you think they're gonna name it? Like, is it
Every
gonna be
day.
like something goofy? Like, so yes. So yeah. In
Mhm.
regards to that, okay, so we have to determine if they're an asshole.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the only context we get.
And
No, we get the story.
You're
we get
gonna get the
Oh,
story
okay,
as well.
sorry.
and-
Okay.
Yeah. it's-
Yeah, law dump.
Let me go into it. So, Jordan, who's 26 years old, and I do not mesh incredibly well together, but we are part of the same friend group and are cordial with each other. Note that Jordan's not their real name, or not their birth name. They changed their name in adulthood and picked a common unisex name. They are pregnant and just announced the baby name to the group, Arsen Europa. I'm gonna put it in the chat so you guys can see the spelling as well.
Okay.
Yeah, let me where's the chat? Okay. It's in the TYS chat so you guys can see.
Sure.
So yeah, that's what they're gonna Arsen Europa. Right. Everyone else told them it was a great name. Not sure how many genuinely thought so versus not wanting to rock the boat. But I came right out and said, please don't give a human being that name. Seriously. It blew up. I said Arsen is just a stereotypical teenagery non-binary name, and adding the weird spelling just makes it worse. You're naming a person, don't treat them like an accessory for yourself, and it's weird that you picked a normal name for yourself and then went out there and got a weird name for the kid. It's just not a good name, and I can't pretend otherwise. Sorry. She said a lot of other stuff I'm really paraphrasing, but she went in on her friends.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, so TLDR, is she the asshole for defending her friend's soon-to-be-born baby and that name? What do we think?
Oh man.
Go on, you two. You're the guest. Tee it
It's so tough. So like, I think for me, this honestly is like, like it's like one of those things. We all have friends that have like or know like you've seen celebrities name their kid something, and you're like, wow, that name like sucks.
Yeah.
But like obviously, sometimes you don't tell your friend or like the person. Or I guess it depends on your relationship with the person. But like,
Mhm.
I saw this is. Maybe this is just the girl in me, but I'm like, I talk crap about the unborn name of my friend's kid, and I'm like, it's gonna be like they're gonna give it something that it like totally doesn't deserve, man. Like it's gonna be
Ginger time lemongrass.
yeah, like something just totally random. Like I'm like an inanimate object, and I'm like, oh, this poor kid, because like I just
Yeah.
know that that's how it's gonna be with them. And like, I don't think I would have like the gall to tell them to their face that it sucks, but like. Oh, I would 100% think it. And does that make them an asshole? Because it's like it doesn't seem like they're super close anymore. So it's like, I guess if you like don't care, like if you're not that close, and it's like, yeah, dude, that name sucks. Like I guess I like if you don't care, like if you don't care about your relationship with this person, and like that's where it comes down to for me. It's like, how much do you value your relationship with that person?
Mhm.
And if you don't and you don't care and you just want to like make sure your opinion is known because that's just how you are. Sure, I get it. Me personally, I don't like. I've never been in a situation like that, I guess, where I would want to say it to their face. But it is really funny. I don't know, Brian. What do you think?
I don't know. So I think for me, I'm all about the approach personally.
Yeah.
I'm not
It
a fan.
sucks.
I'm not. I think you're an asshole for the way that you approached it.
Mhm.
Maybe it could have been said a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, or more so to the point where it's not like like, hey, I think your baby name sucks. You suck. Like it's for me, I would have maybe approached it more of like, hey, that name is extremely interesting.
Unique.
Why? Like, is there something behind
Yeah,
it that's
tell me the
meaningful?
lore.
And then like if you maybe don't agree, I think you're allowed to voice your opinion. It doesn't mean they're going to change it, and don't expect them to change it for
No,
you.
definitely not.
But like, oh no, arson. Yeah, I really like fire, and I just thought it'd be cool to like change the spelling. Then I think you're in the right place to be like, I'm gonna keep it a stack dog. That's really dumb. And if you're gonna name your kid that, I'd maybe encourage you to like step back, take a day or two, and think about like
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
that kid's
this
gonna
is a
do
person.
or how they're gonna feel when they're like 8 and they found out that they were named after the fact that
on
you like to
fire.
burn stuff. Like maybe we reapproach this.
Yeah,
That's how I would take it, but I don't know. Like, are you an asshole for like saying that? I think you were an asshole in the way you went about it.
Yeah.
But I think the intention behind it is probably
I think the intention was care and concern, whether it was misplaced or
yeah.
improperly executed.
I will say straight up, to all of our friends having kids, none of you will watch this because none of you play Yu-Gi-Oh.
No one.
But know that if your kid's name sucks, I would have no problem telling you.
Oh, that's
like,
good.
I will
Okay.
have, dude. You know what?
Oh, well,
I
if
love
just,
you.
If you just greenlit it, then I don't feel bad anymore.
Yeah, no, because I care about my friends and I care about what,
I
you know,
care about
who
my
they're
kids,
bringing into this
But
world.
like if they're already born, they've like already signed the
Yeah.
papers and stuff. They're like, oh,
Like,
this is my kid
okay,
Grapefruit,
all right.
and I'm like,
I'll
all
tr-
right.
I think sometimes it's best for me to play devil's advocate. I love doing this. For God's name, dude, if we had, if not that we are, not that, but just like role reversal.
Yeah.
If we were having a kid and we were talking about naming it Sharag, I hope to God one of my friends would be like, bro, that is a dumb name.
I mean, we
Imagine.
do this
Yeah,
all the time. With we
100%.
talk about our imaginary, not existent children all the time. Like we have a list of like names that like we used to really like, and then we're like, it's gotta go. We can't name a person this. Like, and I feel like we rationalize with each other, and then like sometimes I see my friends name their kids things, and I'm like, how did you both agree with that? Was there like some
Yeah.
sort of blood like contract between where only one person got a choice?
Mhm.
Yeah,
It feels like that sometimes.
yeah, so I don't think the person is an asshole. I think the way they did it was not great. So like it's really tough. It's because like it again, there's so many variables of relationships and communication and dynamic, but like I don't think they are an asshole, but I think they probably could have done it a little better because we've all said things and done things probably not in the best way or the best way we should have said it. And we're not perfect, but it's just crazy because it's over a baby name, so it's like, and the name does suck, to be fair. So like, it is a garbage name, so I can't blame the person. But yeah, I think they definitely probably should have said it a little, let them down a little easier.
You know what? If you are watching this, your name's Arson. Good for you. Good for you.
You know what? You really came through out of hardship, so good for you, Arson.
Dan, what do you think? Dan? Let me hear your opinion as well, Dan.
So, I'm gonna keep it real. Arson as a name fucking sucks.
Yeah, right.
Because
Yeah.
You are asking for your child to be bullied because
Bullied.
not only
Oh.
does it sound like the back end of a human being,
Literally.
like it sounds like a crime. Also, like I don't know why the person asking this said you've given your kid like a generic, like non-binary name, like the kid's not.
Is that
maybe-
generic?
yeah, the kid probably might not even be non-binary. If this Jordan person is like trans or non-binary or whatever, cool. Like you want to give your kid a unisex name, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
but give them a name that's better than fucking Arson.
Arson.
Like,
there are
Sam,
so many things wrong
Chris,
with it.
like there's Danny. There's like so many. Like
There's
if you want to give your kid,
Logan.
yeah,
I have a great
exactly.
unisex name.
exactly. If you want to give your kid a unisex name, brilliant. That's great. More power to you. But give it a
Yeah.
fucking good one, man. Arson.
Yeah,
like,
and that's my thing. Like, I think that's my personal gripe. Is like there are so many better choices that you can make,
Yeah.
and you're cursing this child with a name that has like
Yeah.
multiple incorrect entendres to it that are just so bad.
Yeah,
like,
no,
like
yeah.
We didn't even talk
No.
about the second part, the
Yeah,
Europa.
Europa.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, I like.
As
Yeah,
a, you know, what, as a middle name, I don't think Europa's too bad because
that's
it's a middle
okay.
name, right?
Yeah, I can get down
Like,
with that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the
It's, you know,
Like, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it really truly feels like people are setting their kids up for failure sometimes.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how
I'm
did
gonna keep. I'm gonna keep it 100. This person is not an arsehole. I back him 100%.
yeah,
Because
like if I was there in this situation, I probably would have tried to like lighten the blow to like, because like I don't think this person is an asshole, but I would have definitely like been like, oh well, I think what they meant was like the so and so such and such, because like dude, like that's tough. Like
yeah.
I could never imagine like how do you? There's so many problems with it.
But
Like,
maybe I'm just saying that because I feel like in this scenario, I would be that friend who would have been like, "Dude, that name fucking sucks." Like,
yeah,
that would,
like,
I
'cause,
could
like,
see myself being
I
that
feel like
person. So maybe
people
I
are
would have
trying
been
so hard to be different with baby names that
Mhm.
like they're just actually like just throwing consonants together, and I'm like, no, like these
Yeah,
are
no,
people.
like-
This is going to be a 45-year-old adult one day.
Mm-hmm.
The name Arson. Like,
Yeah.
The one caveat I'd say is maybe if that name had a meaning to them, like if it was like
Yeah.
you know a passed down name or something, maybe I'd understand it a bit more. And in that case, I'd be like, "Dude, fair enough, but please just put it as a middle name instead." Like,
yeah,
Even
like,
then, it's
Because-
just not that
there's-
deep. Yeah,
There's
nah,
so many
Yeah.
opportunities to make it not as bad as it is, and yet
Yeah.
people punt anyway.
Yeah.
and that's what
I'm gonna-
feels bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and call my dad after this and thank him for not calling me arson.
But my mom, it's funny. My mom had like would tell me about mine and my brother. Like my brother's name is Ashton, and his name wasn't originally gonna be Sheldon. And I'm like, Every
God.
day we thank our lucky stars that Ashton is Ashton and not Sheldon, and like that, like I don't have some other wild name, but I'm like, you know what? I hated my name for the longest time because people to this day think I'm like, they'll be like, oh, you're a boy.
We get events. People come up like, which one do you use Logan? Which one do you use Brian? I'm like,
I understand
well,
the Logan
you
thing.
really can't. You've got a 50-50 shot. Like, come on. My doctor's office still like 99% of the time they'll call, like do a follow up, and they'll be like, oh, how's he doing? And I'm like, she's great, and it's me. Like it's crazy. Like they just like it goes over, and like I used to be really bothered by it, but now I'm like, I love my name. I think my name is so cool because I could have been like Jessica, and I don't want to be Jessica. I never wanted to be Jessica or like Ashley. I like how my name is extremely unique. And I think there is a lot of merit to having a unique name.
Yeah.
Not to shame all my Ashleys and Jessicas out there. Love you. It's just not for me. But I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of merit to having a cool, unique name. And
yeah,
like,
imagine being named something like Dan.
Right.
Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me.
Is Dan in the room with us right now? Like,
Couldn't be me.
or like, yeah. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's like there is a level of uniqueness that you can hit, and like it's fine. But like then there's arson, and like that's too high. You've gone off into the stratosphere, and you need to come down.
I also think too, when you give someone a name like that and like you make them spell it differently,
oh my god,
I think you also set them up for being offended when someone spells their name the way the word is necessarily spelled. And then it's like there's like 6 other letters. It's like, well, how am I supposed to know that?
Oh my god.
You know what? Let me look this up. Let me look up what the name arson means.
Oh,
if it has,
if it has a meaning, I'll be so impressed.
Yeah, arson is an alternative spelling of the name arson, which is a form of the Greek name Arsenio. It means virile in Greek.
Yeah.
And we all know what virile means, right?
Yeah, that's
yes.
So
Oh,
that's an
it
awful
just
baby
gets
name.
worse.
yeah. That's not cool.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not an asshole.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely
not an
asshole.
asshole.
Usually I have
Not an
a very like live and let live philosophy, but with this
Yeah.
one, no, I'll be like, what's wrong with you? Like, this is terrible. Yeah. I think what makes it a bit stranger to me as well is just that it got to this point and no one else had said it.
Yeah.
It's like that, I feel like your friends.
Great.
Yeah, your friends
Friends
didn't
are
have your
pricks
back.
in it.
Yeah, they didn't have your back.
Your friends are the assholes. Like,
Yeah, like you gotta say something like, "Oh, this is."
yeah, good for you for standing up for that poor unborn child.
Yeah, and they have to have the name. I'd say, as the parents, maybe you guys should hold the name for like a year and see how you could feel with it. Like, before
honestly,
you
There you go. That's a good
there
solution.
needs to
I
be
like
like
that.
a clearance process for this
It
because
really does. Yeah. no.
there's a fine line between like unique and special and different and just actually like you took Scrabble pieces and threw them at the wall and said
Like,
that's
for
the
the-
name. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so well, on that note, guys, we're gonna definitely say don't name your child arson, but that was
please don't.
that was episode. It was episode something of the Yu-Gi-Oh show. I don't know, but we're doing good. So
Season 2, episode 5. I
oh,
believe.
lovely. Yeah. See, this is why Dad is awesome because Dad always has this kind of stuff on lock. It's
Shout
working.
out to Dan.
Shout out
But-
to Dan.
But thanks so much, Crush Cards, for coming on. This has been an
Oh,
absolute
thank
pleasure.
you.
An
Oh, man.
amazing
Oh,
episode.
jeez. Thank you.
Before we round off, have you guys got any shout outs or anything you'd like to say?
I know. Just thank you for having us. If anyone cares to check us out, if you haven't already, we're Crush Cards on YouTube. On all of our socials, we're Crush Cards YGO. On Twitch, we are also Crush Cards. Yeah, I just thank you for having us. If you ever want to have us back for any reason, you're
we'd
more
love
than
to.
welcome to. Things change so often, so there's always something new to talk about, which is cool. But I don't know, Brian, do you have anything to say?
Because it's like super like corny once again, but like corny dude. Just like the whole Yu-Gi-Oh community, right? Like we get to do this. Everyone here gets to do this just because we play a children's card game that we love, and like
Yeah.
we're fortunate enough to do it for a living. That doesn't mean everyone else is, but like it is such a cool opportunity to do this, to get to be your own boss. So like honestly, to all the people who make it worth
Yeah,
it, to
yeah,
all the
yeah.
people who support and love, follow,
Care.
subscribe, even if
Yeah.
you don't follow and subscribe, like just like being present in the
Yeah,
community
yeah.
is just so freaking cool.
Mhm.
Like it really does help it out. All the people that come up to it at events and stuff like that, just the community in general. It
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is really, really mind blowing every day that even though we're burnt out, we get to do this for a living.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm very grateful for what we get
Yeah.
to do, and I hope everyone knows that none of the creators take it for granted. It is all honestly a lot of work and a lot of love that goes into it, and it's all very reciprocated. And we're just very grateful for everybody, and it's super cool that we get to do cool podcasts and come and hang out with people and just meet so many people that we
Yeah.
wouldn't meet anywhere otherwise for
because
any
of literally
reason.
like holographic cardboard.
Literally because Like I get to travel the world and meet cool people and have these cool connections, and I'm extremely grateful. So that's
Yeah.
it. That's our little spiel.
100%. And before we do go, Fabs, I do just want to say, because I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about tips and stuff, and I just completely forgot. If you're a small creator and you want to like just try and get people's opinions or people to help out, just ask them. Recently, I got Chris Cards on the
Honestly,
channel.
yeah.
Our Instagram DMs are
Yeah,
open.
our DMs are open on all socials. People ask us all the time, and I will try to get back to people as fast as I can. And I always try to answer everybody. But yeah, just don't hesitate. We're not gonna bite you. I think people are always very like apprehensive to message creators or anything.
Understandably.
Yeah, absolutely, and I totally get it. There's like a weird like boundary that people don't know. It's like, oh, can I just message them? Like, will they answer me? And like sometimes people take days to answer. I'm one of them sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't just do it. Just literally just do it.
I can't speak for everyone out there, but like we will make an effort to try to respond when we have a minute.
Yeah, like if you're just asking questions and you just need help, like I just ask. Like the worst that can happen is we don't answer you for a few days.
Exactly.
But,
like this is a perfect example. Like we've been talking about doing this for a long time.
For like a
Sometimes we
month.
just don't have time, but like if you're persistent, it will happen. Like we just
but like
we are people at the end of the day.
We
I
are
think
resources.
that's like
Yes, we are resources and we are available. So if there is anyone who needs us, literally just message us. Like don't be shy. We are not going to bite you. We are just two normies just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. But yeah, so don't be shy. We're here.
Yeah, but also don't be a dick about it when you do it, because no one likes that.
yeah, don't be an arson.
Yeah, don't be an arson.
Yeah, don't be an arson either.
All right, awesome, guys. That was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. Peace.
Yeah.